We're going to go ahead and do another Class 5 restoration. This time the preparation is on the side, the buccal, kind of mesial buccal cusp, and this is not going to require a height of contour like the Class 5 prep that we did previously. So when you have a classification of a Class 5, it's all going to depend on where that is drilled out. If it's in the cervical third, middle third, occlusal third, where is that prep? Is the prep in an area where you need to rebuild the height of contour like we did in this one down here? This one is not. So when you fill this, it's actually very easy. You can put your instrument flat against the tooth and swipe over. Okay? So we're going to go ahead through the same motions here, the same steps. Make sure, first of all, you always check to make sure your instrument is going to fit into that prep. So normally, you use your plastic instrument and this fits fine. Okay? My tooth is a little loose. Better tighten that up. Make sure your teeth are nice and tight in there. You don't want them moving around when you're trying to pack the materials in. Alright. So, depending on what you're using, if you're using an all-in-one material, you don't have to use this acid etch. I'm going to go ahead and put this on for 10 seconds on the outer surface, and then I'll put etchant inside the prep to etch the dentin. Now it depends on what percentage of phosphoric acid you're using as to how long you're going to leave that on. When you rinse, you want to make sure that you rinse it thoroughly. You left it on for 15 seconds, you want to rinse it for 15 seconds. Dry it, but don't over dry it because you'll desiccate it. This time we're going to go ahead and put our bonding agent in there. Make sure you wipe it in there really well. Air dry it. I like to blow the air water tip on my patient bib first to make sure that no water is coming out. And then we're going to cure it. Sorry. So if you want to use some flowable in there, you can, or you can just go right to your composite. Now this is such a small area that I'm still going to use 2 increments to make sure that I have this condensed well into the walls and the axial wall. Before I cure that, I'm going to take the paddle of my plastic instrument and just kind of run across the side of the tooth. Make sure you don't have any excess squished out onto the surface, and cure that. And now I'll put the last increment in there. A little bit of bond on my paddle, my plastic instrument, and then I like to wipe it on the back of my hand a little bit to make sure I don't have too much bond on there. Make sure that your cavo surface margins are nice and sealed. And make sure that your instrument is clean. If you have any hard buildups on there, then your restoration is not going to be nice and smooth. I'm going to go ahead and cure that. This one is super easy. Just have to make sure that you don't underfill it. And if you overfill, I mean, you can remove it with the discs and things, but you just add more work for yourself. There's no need to really overfill it. Get your instruments. Check to see if you have, the cavo surface margins are sealed, so you go from tooth to filling and filling to tooth. So I'm not sure if that's a pit or what that is. I'm going to go ahead and use my discs. Start with the coarse disc again. Be very careful. It will remove your tooth because these teeth are just plastic teeth. And you don't want to damage your gums either, okay? So what you can do to ensure that you don't damage your gums is you can put your plastic instrument there. Make sure that you're hitting the instrument rather than your gums. And if you can't get into the area you need, maybe you could go with a smaller disc. Discs are flexible, but you got to watch that you don't cut into it because it'll make cuts in your teeth and in your filling. Remember, I'm rinsing in between so I don't leave the grit from the previous disc on the tooth. Okay, so let's see here. It's really nice and smooth everywhere. There's a little bit of a area here that I feel it from the filling to the tooth. So that is a sign that it could be underfilled there. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little more material on there just to be safe. Get it to stay. Make sure that you're pushing it up into that area. Everything else looked pretty good, so you don't need a whole bunch in that area. sometimes you can just leave like remnants right in that area. Get a little bit of bond and then cure it. Sometimes you can put a little flowable there too. Oops. Check with the Explorer again. Feels better. Okay. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to go back to my discs again. Better get my plastic instrument to shield the gums. Check that. If you ever feel like you have too much material somewhere and you can't flick it off with your Explorer, you can get like your Hollenbach carver in there to try to remove excess. On a person, on real enamel, it'll just flick right off for you. Show you little discs. Maybe that will reach that one area a little bit better. Give this a rinse. Keep that in mind whenever you have the small one to do, to use the small discs. They're way better for, you know, reaching this area that's close to the gums. Polishing one and we are done. Could have been done if we didn't have that void a long time ago, but can't leave it like that, so. Okay, now you can use a polisher, polishing paste, and like a Profi cup to finish that up. Squirt a little bit into your cup. Wipe it on there. Make sure that you have plenty in the cup so you don't heat up the tooth while you're polishing it. Okay? Then give it a nice rinse. And shiny. Well done.